Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the ETH Miami Road to ETH Miami. The second annual ETH Miami event is October 27th through 29th, and we invite all hackers to come and join us. Today we have Danny Mulvihill from Crossmint, and he's going to be walking us through his platform, and I'm going to get my camera to come back. They have an infrastructure for NFTs. Hold on, it's coming back. No, it's not. Okay, so we're just going to roll with it.
Damn autofocus.
I know. So Danny, tell us about Crossmint and what you're going to be doing for us today.
Definitely. Thank you, first of all, for putting this together. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And we'll be able to jump in, and just to give everybody a heads up, within the next 5 minutes, we'll be minting NFTs via APIs. So quick intro, though. Crossmint is, like everybody in Web3 is saying, we want to onboard the next billion users to Web3. And hopefully we're all going to work together, all these different companies, to do this. What Crossmint is doing is we really have three main product categories to fulfill this mission, really. They're divided into payments, minting, and wallets. So our payments tools are really great in that it all started just enabling NFT projects to accept credit cards for the mint, so that if a project wants to, it started because the founders actually created an NFT project, and they couldn't get their friends and family to support it because they didn't have crypto wallets. And they're like, man, maybe we should make it easy for them to do, buy with a credit card. Turns out that ended up being a really great idea, and they started a company off of it. So a lot of what we've done is built on our payments tooling, which are just easy to use, 5 lines of code to get a credit card button on your minting site. But we're not going to go over that very much today. Today we'll be talking about our minting API, which essentially is, right now, it's one of the most exciting product categories I see in Crossmint, because profile picture projects are cool and they got us where we are today, but the future of NFTs, I think, is going to become a lot broader, and we'll be doing things like transactional NFTs, maybe things like receipts and newsletters and all sorts of different use cases besides monkey pictures, as people like to say. And then the other aspect of that Crossmint does, at least, is wallets. So part of the payment product is, in order for somebody to be able to buy an NFT with a credit card, you also need a wallet to put it in. And so we generate custodial wallets on the fly for the user at the moment that they purchase, and then the NFT is placed there. They can log into our web application, and then if they so choose, export it to an external wallet or keep it in the Crossmint platform. We also have a bunch of token gating tools so that users can keep their NFTs in Crossmint and still access token gated content. So they can really not even touch crypto if they want.
It's pretty
All right,
amazing.
so I said we're going to mint NFTs in 5 minutes. I'm probably not on track for that, but we'll keep going here.
Okay, so the idea. Let's see if I can stop my camera and start it again and see what happens.
Sounds good. I bet that'll work.
No, forget it.
We'll be sharing my screen soon, so the blurriness will just not even matter.
Good.
All right, so the minting API, a big part of this is that as much as Web3, it's just software, right? But there's still a lot of nervousness around crypto in general, and there are some paradigm shifts, and so a lot of developers maybe feel a little uncomfortable with it. And so I'll preface this by saying one of my favorite tweets that I came across as I was getting into making a transition from software engineering, more web application stuff, making a move to blockchain, is a tweet that said, "Seeking senior blockchain engineer must have 7 weeks experience." The joke being that it's really hard to find experienced blockchain engineers or people who know how this stuff works. There's millions of web application developers, and probably, I don't know the actual number, so I'm not going to put one out there, but far less Web3 developers. But with tools like the minting API, and other no-code tools, you can use all of your Web2 knowledge to start minting NFTs. So what we're going to go over today is just using a REST API, a tool that you're already familiar with, and minting NFTs. So let's go ahead and share my screen. And let me know when you're sharing so that I can, actually, let me pop this one over here so I can kind of see what's going on my other screen. Yeah, so if you could share the screen, I'll get started walking us through this.
I think Andre's going to do that for us.
Sounds good.
And Andre, you got it? Let's see if I can close this down.
Oh, here's the problem. I need to present my screen in order to be able to share the screen. So it's on me once again.
Okay, and I'm going to yank my special camera and go to the webcam.
All right. Okay, y'all can see my screen. Awesome. So here we're just on the Crossmint homepage, and I'm going to actually head to our docs to start this off. Once I'm on the docs page, go to the API reference, and now this section here on the left, the NFT minting APIs. We're going to start out by minting an NFT right off the bat, just like I said. So notice that I have these API keys here. Don't worry, I'm going to go delete these once this video is over. So before you can use all my staging credits up, these will be gone and useless. If you want to test this out yourself, then you just need to create an account in our console. And I would recommend starting with staging.crossmint.com/console, because then you can play around completely for free. You don't have to spend real money to try this out yet.
Okay, cool.
So we'll just jump back to the, okay, so once you come here, you can create a developer account, come to the API keys section, generate API keys, and then you'll be good to go. You just copy those values into our platform here, and we'll conserve those in a cookie so that as you return to our docs page or jump around to different endpoints to test them out, you'll be able to see, or you'll still be able to use those keys. So let's mint an NFT.
Let's do it.
By default, yeah, by default, every new set of API keys has a default Solana and default Polygon collection. So I'm going to go ahead and switch that to Polygon, since that's what we want to mint on today. Now, the recipient string, one cool thing about the API is kind of leveraging our existing wallet tooling. You can mint right to an email address. Now, what that really means is it's still going into a standard unique Web3 wallet, but it's tied to the user's email address. So they can log into the Crossmint application with their email and then access the NFT that you mint for them. So if
they don't own a wallet,
yes,
they can still access the NFT.
Yeah, the cool thing here is we are talking and working with a ton of Web2 companies that have massive email lists and want to be able to start dabbling with NFTs. And they can use this to basically give all of the users on that list an NFT, and then they can send them an email and say, hey, we minted you a digital collectible, log into crossmint.com with your email address, and you'll be able to access it, export it to your MetaMask if you're already into Web3, or just leave it there. And like I said earlier, we also have other tools so that they can token gate content so that you have to have that NFT to maybe see some video or class or something like that. But you can also mint directly to a wallet if you so choose. So I'm going to just kind of highlight these here. So if you change the format of this parameter to chain:\address, like wallet address, that'll mint it directly to a wallet. In this case, we'll go ahead and mint to my email address. Gosh, I'm probably going to eventually start getting spammed because I always use my actual email here. Please don't do it, guys.
Yeah, you got to set up an alias.
I know. It's too late now. All right, so just follows the format email, email address, chain. Right now, the minting API supports Solana and Polygon. Hopefully by the time ETH Miami comes around, we'll have several more loaded up and ready to go there. Okay, so the next step is just to create metadata. So for this first example, I'll just keep our default stuff here so we don't got to go through all the details, and then maybe we'll come back and actually, you know what? That's no fun. I already prepared a little something earlier, so let me find that example. I'll leave it here and I'll open this in a new tab. Move this. All right, so this was all right.
So it's amazing how the technology is just leaps and bounds.
Isn't it?
Developing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool how far it's coming along and how fast. Things are moving pretty quick now. All right, so now I'm gonna paste in some new content here. Let me grab the image that I uploaded earlier. All right. And we'll just say my NFT for the description.
And this is all in testnet.
Yeah, we're putting this on the Mumbai testnet for Polygon right now. Once again, to keep it free.
Yeah.
It's only 10 cents per mint on mainnet, which is still pretty doable for most projects.
That's not bad.
And if you're messing with Solana, we just released support for compressed NFTs last week. And that is insane. You can mint like, I forget the numbers, but it would cost something like $12,000 to mint 1 billion NFTs, whereas before it was like $100 million.
Wow.
Now this is on Solana, and hopefully with some of the things happening in the Ethereum ecosystem, we'll be able to do some similar cool stuff. But for now, let's stick to what we can do right here. I want to show you this flag, the re-upload linked files. We're going to set that to false.
Okay.
And the reason is that I've already uploaded my image to IPFS, and so there's no reason for Crossmint to do that again for us. And so we can set this to false, and then it'll just preserve that URL that I've already passed it. All right, we did all the stuff. Now I'm just gonna click the try it button, and we're gonna mint an NFT. So it's pending. I'm gonna grab this GUID that was generated, and then we will check the status of this NFT. So all I got to do here is set the same collection ID that I used in the previous step, and then pass in that GUID that was returned to us from our API call. All right, so it's already minted. We got the transaction ID here, so we can check that out on the Block Explorer. Boom, there it is, a real deal NFT. So now let's log into my Crossmint account so we can actually visualize it.
Okay.
Oh, I'm logged into my actual account. Now there's obviously like hundreds of test NFTs in here, so might take a moment to find it. One thing I wanted to show you all, my wallet is loading up here. All right, so you can see that the metadata that we set in that previous mint NFT step is right here. So we got our name, that image that I had set, and the token ID. The reason this ID is 3 is I've already used this project for a couple of test mints earlier today, testing things out. And we can also see we got the contract address for our deployed collection in case you wanted to check that out. So we got a ton of data here. Now let's go check out the wallet. And we got all of my junk test NFTs here. Let's see. Here's the one.
Aha! The road to ETH Miami.
Right. And one thing, so everybody likes their NFTs to be square, and the image for the demo was rectangular, but when we load in the actual detail view, it shows up as expected. So boom, I lied. I said it within the next 5 minutes. I'm sorry. I always sort of think that I'm underdoing these types of things, and then 15 minutes later, I'm like, no, it wasn't too much. It wasn't too little.
It really is that fast.
Right. So let's zoom out for a second and talk about a few things here. So let's go through some other options in the Mint API. This first one that we used is just this mint NFT, and it's slightly different from the mint NFT idempotent, and it's worth highlighting because there's a reason why you might want to use one over the other. With this first one that we used, notice that it returned us a GUID for the ID, which is just a, you know, somewhat randomly but uniquely generated ID. Sometimes it might make sense to make sure that you don't mint duplicate NFTs. So let me drag this back over here so I can actually, well, no, but I won't be able to see what I'm showing you. I keep looking over to my side screen and I can see myself looking away and it drives me crazy.
I hate that.
So with the idempotent endpoint, what you could do there is make sure that you don't accidentally mint the same NFT twice. So like I'm working on a side project to like further demo our minting API. Mm-hmm. And it's basically just going to be a website that users can show up to. And after they do some sort of authentication, like either Twitter auth or maybe Gmail auth, will enable them to enter their email address and mint an NFT to themselves. That was, we saw some examples in that when we were going through the list view or the grid view on my wallet. But I don't want to mint the same NFT to the same email address over and over and over again. And so I can use this idempotent endpoint and I basically hash the email address and then I set that as the ID. So let's actually just kind of like do an example of that. So now we just switched over to this other endpoint. I'm going to set my collection back to Polygon. And so this is the ID that we're setting. So we'll call this ETH Miami Workshop. Now, the example I just used, I said I was hashing the email address. I'm not going to do that right now. But the idea here is you, the user, can set a value programmatically in some way and know that that is where it's going to be set to. So let me do this. And let's just call this ETH Miami. All right, so we'll try it. And we'll notice that the ID I get back is what was set here.
Okay.
So the cool thing though is, so let's go grab the status for that one. Okay, it's still pending. Give that a moment. But what's going to happen is when we, or actually I know what the contract address is, so we can actually figure this out. Let's go to the contract. Okay, there is the latest mint. Okay, now we got it. So here's the transaction hash. We'll just remember this 0x24 at the very beginning here. If I come back to, I bet this will load now. Whatever. Okay, so there it is. All right. The key though, so I come back to my idempotent endpoint and I call it again. It's not going to mint a new NFT. It's just going to notice that I've already created one with that ID and return me the info for it. So the idea here is, especially if you're doing a big project and you're going to mint 100,000 NFTs or something, you definitely, like, maybe you don't even want to avoid like making a programming mistake and accidentally blow 10 grand on NFTs on accident. So a couple of different reasons why you might want to use that, but worth highlighting. Let's see what else is worth mentioning here.
Well, and let me ask you another question. So through
let's do some questions.
With the ID and with the metadata, can you edit the metadata? Can you add things?
Absolutely. So let's actually do that. Copy this ID. It might be on my clipboard already. So now if we extend this edit section, we can open the edit NFT endpoint.
Okay.
So again, I'll switch that back to Polygon. You got to pass it the ID. And let's see here. I got this. Okay, so I'm going to change the image.
Okay.
All right. So, edit NFT. Okay, so we'll call this my edited ETH Miami NFT. All right, so now we'll send that off. The problem here is we do cache the results in our wallet, so it's going to be hard to visualize the change in the actual wallet.
Mm-hmm.
So what we can do though is maybe really quickly, oops, wrong one, go to the contract here. All right, so we can see that I just called that update to, oh, it's already successful, so I'm not going to be able to show you the trick, but here's what I can do. I can still prove that we edited the metadata by going to the contract, reading the contract, calling the token URI method for that token ID, and then we'll open this here. All right, so you can see now when we get we call the token URI method for token ID 4, it has our edited ETH Miami NFT and that updated image that I passed it.
Very cool.
Boom.
Boom. So what would you hope to see people at ETH Miami doing to play around with Crossmint?
That's a good question. So I would like to see ETH Miami, I mean, first of all, maybe do something. So it could be one thing that we're seeing it used for is POAPs, so that people can, you know, as they're attending, they could collect NFTs. So I think at Miami NFT week, when I was there, they had QR codes around and you could like scan it and do something. I'm a little sketchy of QR codes at crypto conferences because it's like such a vector of attack, but there's going to be like, it always shocks me when you see all these like tech people like scanning QR codes. I'm like, oh, it's so dangerous. But anyways, pretend I didn't say that and
yeah, right?
put QR codes everywhere. It could be like a scavenger hunt.
I think if you can trust the booth, right? Trust the vendor.
Yeah.
Trust but verify.
Yeah, well, and here's a side note, like when you're at a restaurant and they have the little scan for menu thing, like I always make sure it's not a sticker that some hacker didn't put there to trick me.
Yep. Yep.
Be careful. And there are apps that you can use to scan QR codes that run it through like a list and make sure it's not a known attack. Still dangerous. Anyways, but one thing you could do like a scavenger hunt, right? So have QR codes and you have to go around, scan the code, and then you can mint to either your wallet address or to your email. And then maybe after you collect enough, you unlock some new workshop or content at the conference, something like that. Or maybe you get like the hoodie instead of the t-shirt or something.
Ooh, the hoodie.
I mean, people come to Miami from cold places, so
right?
you guys should make hoodies.
And it's also nice to be able to use NFTs for a contact, like a POAP for your contact, you know, all of your information on there. Here's me. And yeah.
I mean, that could be a good idea for a vendor, like a booth, you know, could have people mint an NFT right at their booth. They could even, since you can just upload the picture right there, like they could have a camera, like maybe they did have something like this that I've seen at another conference where you can like take a picture of with your friends and then it'll mint an NFT for you. These are things that could be done like so easy with the minting API.
And yeah, fast, easy, done.
Totally.
Awesome. So is there anything else that you want to show us? What's your what's your roadmap looking like now? What are you guys looking to round out? What do you need the community to come through for you?
Sure. Man, the roadmap is it's such a funny question because it's like desert sands, right? You know, like we have a vision, but we do 1 week sprints because everything could change on Monday. So like
and
the
it
idea
has.
of
I mean, last Monday, would you think that we would be where we are in the Web3 world?
Right, I know. I mean, and to credit, like about 1 minute before this presentation started, we decided to pivot and do something a little bit different. So things are always moving so fast. But in terms of the roadmap, like some exciting things, I never know like what I'm allowed to talk about. But let's try to think of some stuff. I'd say one of the coolest things, at least from like my perspective at Crossmint that we're building is, so right now we're very focused on NFT wallet infrastructure. Like our wallets are designed for NFTs, but they're not yet, we don't support fungible tokens. So you can't hold like currency in them. And that's something that a ton of our partners have asked for.
Okay.
Because, for example, like we have integrations with some marketplaces like Magic Eden and X2Y2, and definitely working on getting some of the others. And so what happens is somebody, in the event that it is a Web2 person being onboarded to the marketplace, they're like, okay, I want to get into NFTs. Oh my gosh, I could do it with a credit card. This is so easy.
Yeah.
They buy the NFT, it's in their Crossmint wallet. And now they're like, now I hear about all these people flipping their NFTs. I want to sell it, right? And as of today, you'd have to set up an actual wallet, transfer your NFT there, and list just like normal. But what we're working to enable is making it so that you can list from your Crossmint wallet, so that you still can sort of like maintain this, I don't know, you don't have to fully step in yet. You know, it's like super easy UX. We also, there will be a lot of protections in place. We'll be whitelisting certain transactions so that hopefully you won't get yourself into trouble getting your NFTs jacked until you get to the point where maybe you feel a little bit more comfortable. So that's one thing that's coming that I think is really exciting. We're also doing some huge facelifts to our checkout products so that they can be embedded. They will do better about like getting status messages back to the application that opened our checkout, so that you kind of know what's happening, like with the status of the mint, which has been like asked a ton, and it's something I've been pushing for forever, and it's super exciting to see it happening. Like that's going on right now. I mean, half the company is on lockdown to finish this integration with a really cool partner that I'm sure will have a presence at ETH Miami. They do some really cool stuff. So working on that. What else?
Well, okay.
This is
one huge like a dream, like imagine something that, oh my gosh, this would be the coolest thing if we could accomplish this.
Let's see.
Or for the ecosystem. What do you want to see for the Web3 ecosystem going forward?
I mean, I'm really excited about ERC 4337, the account abstraction stuff, because it gets us a step closer to, and the reason why is I want a lot more stuff to be handled by NFTs. Like, for example, deeds to a house, maybe titles to a car, things like this, right? But the problem is
insurance.
Yeah. I mean, there's tons of use cases for this. Another idea that I have, but this is farther away, is like budgeting apps. I finally got into like taking a budget seriously 8 months ago or something. But one thing that just kills me is there's the application I use, it always gets disconnected from some of my credit card providers. And so like, it's not perfectly in sync. And I'm like, this should just be on the blockchain so that I don't have to require all these third parties to work together to get my transactions where I can see them. But in order for all of this stuff to happen, you can't like sign a bad transaction and lose your house. Like it won't work, right? And so I think ERC 4337 is a step in the right direction where we can maybe get to where we can, I mean, it doesn't solve all the problems. There's still issues there, but that's like the big vision that I have, is seeing NFTs being a lot more than just profile pictures. But that is, I don't want to say, I think there's a huge need, not so much need, but there's a ton of value in art taking place in NFTs. So the profile pics, like I know everybody kind of shits on them, and like I do too sometimes, but it's mostly because tons of us have been rugged trying to
Yeah.
get in on a cool project and it doesn't work out.
Even the
So
projects with the best intentions can end up being rugs because
yeah,
life
I think it's
happens.
fair to point that out. Like, not every rug is some malicious scam artist. It's a lot of times just really ambitious people that aren't very good at math or business.
Right.
And so they think they're going to be able to build a video game with
Or
$600,000.
SPV fails, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
like you can only control so much. And
Totally.
I think that if, you know, being a pioneer in the Web3 space, you know, I mean, when people were pioneers across the United States, you know, weather was a problem, and
For sure.
you know, wolves were a problem. so we don't have weather and wolves, but we do have VCs. So
well, we have better protections against them.
Exactly. So, you know, we are pioneering here, and we are constantly pushing the envelope, and I think that it's going to be interesting to see how the community handles evolving the ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it, the way that I see we can play a role is being a very developer focused company. So the one that always, or the idea that always comes to mind is Twilio, that they really brought programmatic SMS into, I mean, it just became everywhere. And I remember, I mean, gosh, 10, 12 years ago, I was working at a company as just a developer, and we had a client who wanted to implement SMS, and I'd heard about Twilio. I'm like, yeah, you know, I got assigned to the project. I was looking into it, and it was just so delightful to use their product that I was like, this is freaking amazing. Like, I mean, just like I just minted an NFT in a couple of minutes, same thing with Twilio. I was like, I just sent an SMS with PHP. It's like so fast. And so we're really focused on being like a developer first company and making tools so that developers fall in love with what we're doing, because they're the people building everything that all the companies are, you know, paying them to build. So
fantastic. Well, I think we're at time. This was amazing. I can't wait to play around with it myself. I've got a POAP project coming up that I think I'm
all right. Well, hit us up in our public Discord if you have any questions.
Awesome. And so what is your website that they should go to?
Crossmint.com.
Crossmint.com. And then everybody, of course, is going to show up for ETH Miami in October. That is October 27th through the 29th. You can go to ethmiami.net to register or sign up. And this has been great. Thank you, Danny.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for hosting. It's been a blast.
Oh, my pleasure. And then, so Andre, we good here? Are we ending? We staying? Do you have any more questions?